Why do you think men don't prefer it as much?
That's so interesting to me. I don't know. I wonder if it's that men are...
Because they run the show in most of corporate America? I mean, let's be real, right?
We're not scared to face adversity.
Yeah, please push back. I'd love to hear.
We have to expose these things.
If you've left a comment on Shake's Instagram, I'd love to hear from you.
For me, 100 times out of 100, I follow my financial dreams.
And you were going to say, you're like, I follow my heart.
No!
Is it too late to cancel this wedding?
Stop.
So overwhelmed. Welcome back, everybody. This is episode 6 of the Unsettled podcast. We are so excited that you are tuning in once again. I am here in Atlanta where it is freezing. And Jess, how is it in California?
I'm so sorry to hear that. It's beautiful here, 75 degrees. We've been enjoying the pool. So we get up this morning and we're all excited to jump in there, and there's a dead bunny floating at the top of the pool. So
no.
God bless Ben. He took care of that.
How? With the skimmer?
With the skimmer. I ran inside. I can't handle it. We love our bunnies.
I wonder if it drowned or if...
I wonder if a coyote was chasing it, which makes me really sad.
That makes me sad too. Poor bunny. Thoughts and prayers.
Yeah, thoughts and prayers. We love our bunnies. I'm like, can we just bring all the bunnies inside?
But aside from that, everything is peachy keen up there in California. Looks beautiful.
Everything's good. We ended up making Christmas cookies this morning, so
yeah. And tell everyone where you found Christmas cookies in March.
Well, we don't throw anything away around here, so we brought them from the old house, and Ben's little girl found them in the cabinet this morning. I think it's like the only sugar we have in the house at this point. So she's like, I'm making these.
My kind of girl.
You go, girl.
My kind of girl. Expired
They're
or
so
not,
fun.
We're making these cookies. All right.
And her brother is like shooting her with a Nerf gun while she's like running around the kitchen. So it's so fun.
What an exciting
Kids'
Sunday.
perspective, I'll tell you.
100%. Yes. So today we're going to talk about the Love is Blind reunion from my perspective. Jessica still hasn't watched it. We're going to talk about what happens when the cameras leave these castmates. When they leave you immediately after filming wraps, what happens? We're going to talk about a hot topic that has been trending for the past couple of days, Kim Kardashian's comments on work. And we're going to talk about a really interesting article that I found. Women and people of color prefer to work from home. That's kind of what the pandemic has revealed. All right, so let's just jump right in. I mean, I did watch the Love is Blind reunion. It was incredibly heavy. It left me feeling kind of bad about, I don't know if it was like bad about myself, but just bad in general. I just felt like, when you watch TV and you're just like, oh, that was so funny and like so interesting and whatever, you leave feeling kind of like uplifted or at least satisfied. I felt very like, yuck. I felt like it was everyone against one. And I felt like it was just heavy. And you know what? I think Netflix did not do a good job of kind of delving into some topics that people wanted to hear about. I'm actually going to read a comment that I saw on Instagram. But I just thought it was like everyone against one. And apparently I was reading some articles and apparently all of the cast members really do not like Shake. They've all unfollowed him on Instagram. They've kicked him out of their group chat. They really don't like him. And I thought that was fascinating. Sure. I will say he came to the reunion, guns blazing. Like right from the get-go, they started filming and he was ready. Like, I don't know if someone like prepared him for this or like what he was thinking, but I don't know. You can speak a little bit to kind of going into the reunion when, the public is kind of against you. Like, did you prepare or what? I think we talked about this a little bit before, but.
Mm-hmm. We talked about it a little bit before, and I was so unstable mentally that I had one plan, and that was just to go in and get through it. And somehow I did that somewhat unscathed. The thing I love about the reunion is it's the most unedited thing of the entire series because everyone's in the same room. It's really hard to edit things to look a different way than they really were.
Sure.
But I'm really sorry to hear that. It was my perception from seeing the clips that I saw that that's exactly what was going to happen. And it's too bad. I actually had gotten a DM from someone saying, hey, you should really watch the reunion because it was very women's power. It seemed like the cast was very united. And I thought, oh, well, that would be really nice to see. But it sounds like it was more of the latter.
I think it was, I wouldn't say it was women's empowerment. I mean, I think it was the girls are friends. I mean, you know what I mean? And that's kind of where it was. I think, Kyle, is that who was engaged to Shayna?
Yes.
I think he just wanted a moment, like, and I think a lot of people online thought this too. He wouldn't take her apology. Like, he was just like, okay, well, you shouldn't have said yes. She's like, sorry, I shouldn't have. He's like, well, like, he just kind of wanted to keep dragging it out. And it was like, dude.
Of course. It's the victim edit.
No kidding. And it was, I don't even think.
Run and
no kidding.
On,
I think Shayna came off great. Like, but I think all the women came off great. You know what I mean?
Yes. I think so too.
You know, it was just like an interesting reunion. I'm surprised Netflix let some of those comments Shake made air because he called everyone fake. He said everyone was on the show for clout. And I mean, we've seen some of those comments on social media, but you know.
Look, I'll be the first to say it's really hard to see these folks who you count as friends transition into D-list public figures. And the way that they transition into that, it's difficult, and you're also a part of it, right? Like, I'm not counting myself out from that. All of a sudden, there's all these eyes on you, and it becomes all about optics, and it's something that you're not used to experiencing. So sometimes the genuineness of people can disintegrate a bit, you know. So I get his frustration there.
Yeah, and especially if they're all kind of like kicking you out of the group. I will say, like, if he was talking crap,
tough.
then I wouldn't want him in my group chat either. Like, 100%. I am not saying this kid's an angel at all, but you know, he kind of has his own truth to speak, whatever that is. If his truth is being a jerk, then that's what it is. And you can't make people respond the way you want them to respond to situations in life. And I went on his Instagram, and the comments that this kid is getting, they are so vile. I mean, I feel like it's worse than anything that he said on the show.
I agree. And I think he's putting up a wall.
He is.
And it's his ego. He's, I'm okay with this, and you all are idiots and ants. And you can't imagine the amount of emotional duress this person is under. So, you know, all the hate that he's spewing and everything like that, you
like
can't
a
take
defense
offense
mechanism.
To it. You have to know this person is now being put under a microscope, and the world is just beating him down. So
yeah, I mean, the comments are like, you're not even cute, you're ugly, like and I'm like, okay, well, but you guys were upset when he didn't find somebody attractive on the show. So like, how is that?
Right.
Is that your way of like defending her honor, like somebody who doesn't know you? No offense. Like, I am well aware that the kid's a jerk, but I've met many jerks in my life. I'm not going to go on their Instagrams and comment.
Right. It's just everyone now feels like they're part of something. You know, they all found out that he's a huge jerk, so they can go be a part of something by piling on. And it's scary, honestly, and I'm just not going to participate.
But you know what? People listening might have a different point of view on this, right? So please push back and let us know if you think that we're wrong here, we're not, you know, getting the nail on the head or whatever. That's kind of just my perspective as an outsider watching, like, you know, he made me mad on the show too, but I just like, what drives people to go to his mom's Instagram page and like say hateful things?
Sweet mommy.
Yeah, I mean, what drives people to do that? At what point are you like, you know what?
Come on. My dad got hate mail, and it was the worst part of it that broke my heart.
It's so weird.
And I'm sorry, and I'm sure most people have an opposing view from us, Ash. But
yeah, I think so too.
We're not scared to, you know, take the path.
No.
We're not scared to face adversity.
Yeah, like, please push back. I'd love to hear.
We have to expose these things.
If you've left a comment on Shake's Instagram, I'd love to hear from you and tell me why you did it. And did that make you feel better? No, I'm just kidding. But no, really, you know, I worked in news for most of my life, and trust me, people push back all the time. So.
I actually love that idea, Ashley.
Yeah.
If you have trolled someone from this season, let us know. I'm serious.
If you've trolled Jessica in the past and you've come around, because we get those comments all the time too. Like,
I would love to hear from you, actually. Yeah. And let's like dissect that and figure out kind of what the perspective was coming in and what was said. And I think that would be really interesting.
Me too.
To take a look at.
Me too. Love that. And real quick, I'm just going to read this comment on the Netflix Love is Blind Instagram. It's kind of long, but I kind of think it speaks to how I was feeling. Somebody commented, love the show, but the reunion was not good. None of the most viral moments were addressed, and everyone wanted to keep everything a secret, defeating the purpose of a reality show. Number one, why didn't we address none of Danielle's crazy moments that she had literally the whole season, but we focused on Jared and Mal? Number two, why did we not address the moment on the beach when Shayna called Natalie's relationship fake? Number three, what really led up to the argument between Shane and Natalie that made her say no? That was one thing I will say that was like such like a secret. Like it was just like, shh. I was like, well, what was it? I mean, like you guys were like obsessed with each other before this one day. Can you elaborate a little bit? And I feel like Nick and Vanessa didn't do a great job of pushing, right? And number four, we heard nothing from Sal and Mal because they wanted to keep everything private. There was like this weird part of the reunion where they were just like staring at each other. And this commenter goes on to say, I understand the privacy, but when you are on a show, the people want to know. I feel like it's defeating the whole purpose. The show is good, but the reunion was a waste. We just focused more on Shake and his narcissistic comments and shallow behavior. Hopefully next reunion will be better. And I gotta say, I agree with all of that. I think, you know, when you are the host or the moderator, you have a duty to kind of push these castmates to answer some questions, whether or not they want to. They signed up for the show. People want answers, and you have to ask it. You can't just be like, all right, well, we're going to move on. So I think that the reunion really did do a disservice, and I think the reunion was all about Shake. It really was.
That's too bad.
Yeah.
And I actually heard that from a cast member who said none of us really had to take any heat because Shake kind of just
took all the heat.
Came totally undone. I think is the way that it was phrased. So
I mean, even from the get-go.
Do you think he's leaning into the villain edit?
Mm-hmm. I do.
To become like the next.
I do. And I think it's a defense
Kristen
mechanism.
Cavallari,
And I think he doesn't know I think he doesn't know how to handle it, right? Like how do you handle somebody like commenting such negativity on your Instagram? You could either kind of do what you did, was kind of like, you know, try to go in a hole until it all goes away, or you can be like Shake and try to come up with a podcast called Love is Blurry. I mean, there are two options
that's
here.
right. He has a podcast now. Have you heard it yet?
I have not. I don't even know if it's out, but I will say I think I might listen to like the first episode because it'll be interesting to see what he'll say. And apparently he had he posted something about Nick on his Instagram that got taken down. I bet you Netflix got it taken down.
Nick Viall or Nick Lachey? Because I think he's having disagreements with both.
With everybody.
Oh, Nick Lachey. Cease and desist.
No kidding. So I'm like, what is he going to be able to say on this podcast? We'll see. But I do think he's leaning into that. What are you going to do?
He's very much under NDA, so you have to be careful with that.
Is he?
For
I think
sure.
people want to know that. Yeah, people want to know. So got to be careful what you say. And I think I don't even know if he's tiptoeing around stuff. He's literally calling everybody out. But all that to say, watch it in your own time or don't watch it at all.
I don't like to watch the heavy stuff, especially before bed.
It's heavy.
We end up doing that so much, and we try not to do it now. Like, we purposely try to find light things to watch right before bed.
Yeah.
Because otherwise I end up having nightmares, and I can't imagine if I would have watched the Love is Blind reunion right before bed.
And then you'd wake up feeling like really bad about it.
Yeah.
All right. So the cameras have finally left them. So what happens now? We're seeing a little bit, like I saw Natalie signing with a talent agency. We're seeing Shake start a podcast, and I think he signed with somebody too. So what happens? Like, is this like you're grasping for anything? Are people contacting you or brands contacting you? Kind of let us in.
Yeah, it's nonstop. Brands are reaching out, talent agents, public relations companies, anyone and everyone is reaching out. It's kind of what you want to do with that. For me, being that I'm employed and, my loyalty is to my company. I didn't want to take part in any of that. Also, it felt really sleazy.
Some of the brands.
Especially with I felt sleazy, maybe signing on with brands to make $10,000 or whatever. Just because, one, the show had just come out. I'm a working woman. I work like 60 hours a week. And two, just with the characterization of myself coming off that show, I couldn't imagine, here's my FabFitFun box, guys. Donate to the cause. I make a good enough living that I felt I didn't have to do anything like that, but also I didn't want to fall into that trap at all. I think, no disrespect to anyone that chooses to go that route, because that's definitely part of signing up for these type of experiences. That was just my path.
Sure. And, we have seen people on shows really make the most of their platform, really take off with it. I know you love Kristen Cav, and I love Kristen's style. I think we both follow her. And she's one who obviously was on a reality show like 20 years ago, but has really turned her name into an empire with the clothing and the jewelry and another show and just, kind of building on building. And I think that she was really strategic in the years following The Hills, where she wasn't always the most liked. Like, she wasn't the LC, right? She was kind of hated at a time, and she really had to work to turn that around.
Yeah, she was definitely a troubled teen, but she's transformed, and she's got this empire now where she's got her own skincare line and jewelry line, and she doesn't show a whole lot of her life, but what she does show are these really wholesome moments with her family, and people are embracing that.
So that's one example. Another is like Omarosa, who has leaned into the villain character most of her career and has really played into that "you're not going to like me," and has been successful at it, believe it or not. So there's that way too, right?
The same with Christine Quinn. And it's so funny. Some people in my camp are very much on that side. Lean into it, girl, and just own it. And I wasn't someone who was able to do that. Because I'm like, wait, I have to get the real story out. But that was the first piece of advice I got, was just lean in, girl. You're the most memorable person from this show. And, I couldn't do it.
You're like, how?
But so many have been successful with it. And Christine Quinn, I think, is just a brilliant example of that.
She's so gorgeous, too. She's amazing and just killing it right now.
She's a model.
We love her. We love her so much.
We love her.
Yeah. So really, we're going to start to see them kind of latch on to. So for you, I know what kind of brands you'll say no to, but were there any brands that you were just like, and you don't have to name them, but you're just like, I would never do this?
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
And especially things with my sexuality and stuff. Like, I'm not comfortable putting that out there. What I want to see from this cast is, my first, I'm not like here like I'm the Virgin Mary or anything like that.
You're not?
My first, sometimes. My first year, of course, I had a career, and I know most of these guys actually have careers as well. I would love to see them leaning into noble causes. I know for myself, I jumped on Cameo, and I was just giving back to different funds for domestic abuse or Net Hope, and other causes. I would love to see them leaning in with things like that, because I know so many of them, already have income coming in and things like that. So we'll see what they do. Mm-hmm. But I'd be excited to see something like that.
It's a lot of work to turn your 15 minutes into longevity. It's a lot of work. You know what I mean? Like, because I feel like, especially kind of just watching you and your castmates, it's like, you got to go for everything right away. And then you got to really work to keep that up.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I think the person who's done it most successfully from our season is Giannina.
Oh, yeah. She's great.
She is a brilliant entrepreneur and influencer, and we love to see it.
Yeah, we love to see it. She's so pretty, too.
She's done amazing.
Speaking of entrepreneurial, so Kim Kardashian, everyone's probably heard these comments. She kind of, I think it was International Women's Day, she kind of went on her soapbox and was like, people need to get off their butts and people need to work. And when I first heard it, I sent it to you and I was like, oh, wow, like I need to work, because it was, the way she said it was kind of, it was a little inspiring, honestly. But then really 10 minutes later, you think, and you're like, wait, we don't have the same 24 hours as Kim K. I don't have the same resources as Kim K. I can work my butt off my whole life and I will probably never see her kind of money.
Yeah.
So how did you take her comments?
Until it's interesting because until I heard there was negativity around it, I loved it. But once I was like, oh, wait, that is kind of true. She did grow up in Beverly Hills, and her father was a high-profile attorney. And I think her first job was Paris Hilton's stylist. So she had a lot of opportunities that folks like myself, didn't have growing up. I know I learned about work because, I saw my dad restart halfway through, his journey. And, he was a factory worker.
Good old Midwest.
And then he kind of changed gears and became a car salesman. And it was a tough time for us. And, he got into the Amway track. It was a tough time for us, but I saw him rebuild and really start to focus on his strengths. And it was so cool for me to see. And for myself, I started working when I was 12 in the fields of Illinois, literally picking tassels off the corn. I still have the blister marks from it. But my dad always told me, if you start this, you're going to finish it. And I was like, oh, for sure. It's $9 an hour. Like, this is the best thing ever. Well, I hated it. It was so freaking hard, but my dad wouldn't let me quit. I cried every morning before I got on that bus at 5 a.m. And with all these like adults. And to this day, it's just ingrained in me. So I feel like I have a different journey from her.
A little bit.
But yeah, I don't think I would have thought that to myself until I saw that there was so much negativity around it. I think her heart's in the right place, and she doesn't know any different.
That's what I was going to say. It's when you're in a bubble, you can't see outside of that bubble, right? And her bubble is just unattainable privilege. And so I don't think she'll ever know what it's like to get on that bus and pick those corn, whatever you were picking. Like she doesn't understand that. But what I didn't like is when she said, nobody wants to work. And I was like, well, where's she getting that from?
Well, I have a different perspective on this because I also saw an interview that Andy Cohen did with the Kardashians, and there's some animosity amongst the sisters in that Kim feels she works more than her sisters. So I almost felt like she could have been sending a message to her sisters
while they were standing there.
In that comment, yes.
That's very true. I know Courtney's gotten a lot of flack for not wanting to work, but I'm like, Kim's work is like, all right, got the cover of Vogue tomorrow, flying to New York Fashion Week, got to go to Paris and get a baguette. My work is like, well, my work is much more fulfilling now, but back in the day, it was like in the trenches in local news, like in a minivan for 9 hours a day, driving.
I loved seeing you in that minivan. It made me happy.
Oh, at least made one of us happy. Driving to the middle of Nowheresville, covering a tornado. We don't all have the same 24 hours as Kim. I think it was the right message. It was the wrong messenger.
Exactly.
Right?
I also saw that on Paris Hilton's wedding special, which was so good. If you're planning a wedding, you should definitely watch that, although I couldn't resonate with most of the experience of it. But she was like, I'm so busy. I have to fly to get all my custom dresses in New York. How am I going to have time to do all this? It's like, oh my gosh.
But like to them, right? Like to every individual, your problems are very real. Like
absolutely.
Somebody might think some of my problems are so stupid and like some of yours, right? Like I would love to have that problem. Paris, with her 3 custom dresses by who made her dresses? I forget.
Ooh, Caroline Herrera?
No, it wasn't.
It was.
We'll have to look that up.
We'll follow back up on that.
Yeah. It was so fun, though. I love that.
Was it Galia Lahav?
No.
No? Okay.
Nope. I don't know. But if either one of those want to make dresses for us, please let us know. Please let us know. Okay. So yeah, I found this Axios article, switching gears, but still in work. 63% of Black workers, 58% of women say they feel more ambitious when working from home versus the office. Not really, no surprise there. Not as many men feel the same way. I just had it pulled up and then I lost where I was. Do you prefer working from home? I know before the pandemic, you were traveling quite a bit.
I miss the travel. I miss going to San Francisco. I miss meeting up with all my coworkers and being in front of our customers. But I love being home. I love having my dog by my side all day. I love being able to hop on the Peloton and take a call or two. And I've gotten so used to it that, one, I think I'm becoming more introverted. 2, I think I'm becoming more...
Is that a good thing?
No, it's not. Because it's like you don't even want to go out into the world as much. But yeah, I miss getting out and having that camaraderie and spending time with people. And I also miss racking up all the hotel and airline points.
That is nice.
So our offices are opening this week, though. So we're getting back out there. I think it won't be too long before I'm in a room with my colleagues again. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah.
You never experienced that.
No, I was always working in a
news
minivan.
reporting. You're like in there with 6 other people. It's the middle of COVID.
No, so yeah, I usually had one other person, the photographer, but no, I never. This is the first time that I've ever worked from home, and it is so fulfilling to me. I feel like I get so much more done, and I feel like it's just mentally better. And I don't want to scare anyone. Like, I loved my news career. It was just definitely time to pivot when it was. But yeah, I never was able, like, there was no flexibility in news. There was no, oh yeah, guaranteed to have your holidays off. You know, I worked weekend mornings for 2 years. I worked Sunday evenings when I anchored. And so it was just a different beast. It was way different scheduling wise. And so this article really resonated with me. And I think a lot of women prefer to stay at home because, you know, a lot of women have kids and, you know, childcare is so expensive and they'd rather be home with their kids. They feel like they can get stuff done around the house. They're not sitting in an hour and a half of traffic to work, an hour and a half in traffic back. And, you know, people of color, you know, there's so much that goes into why people don't want to go into the office, right? And I think that for me, and I don't mind going in the office just because, like, I don't know, I've never really just had like one place to go. So even that is so different for me. But I definitely feel more ambitious. I really relate to this article and that I feel like I'm more creative at home, like in my own space. I'm more ambitious. I can get more done. I can multitask. Like it's just like so freeing and you don't have to play into the office politics. That's true. I wouldn't have thought that, actually. I just learned something new about you. I would have definitely thought that you feel more ambitious around others and being in the office. I think that I enjoy speaking to others. Like I enjoy like, oh, hey, like it's great. Like, and I'm, like I said, like this is the first time I've ever had like even an office to like go to. We've had newsrooms in the past, but you're there for a good hour and then you're gone. But I love going to my office now just to like shake hands and like meet people and just like, I work with a lot of really positive people who I love. And so I like that aspect, but I do understand why people prefer to work from home. Why do you think men don't prefer it as much? That's so interesting to me. I don't know. I wonder if it's that men are... Because they run the show in most of corporate America? I mean, let's be real, right? Yeah. I mean, definitely. Definitely. I can't say that I disagree with that, to be honest. I don't know why that is, and now I'm thinking of it. I wonder if men are more likely to have professions where they work outside the home. So for Ben and I work remote for a tech company. And Ben is a doctor, so he has to obviously be out and about. Yeah, he has to go in. So maybe it's just more men are in those type of professions. But I don't know. That's really interesting to think about. Would love to hear from our listeners on this in terms of your experience. Do you like to go in the office now that we've all had a taste of working from home? I think we're all kind of like, oh, this isn't so bad. It's like... We're really excited because we might be going to New York soon. We got invited to New York Fashion Week Bridal Edition. And the Sherry Hill show. Yes. And Jessica didn't know who Sherry Hill was, but like she is so huge in the fashion and bridal and like evening wear arena. Like I've done like a pageant before and everybody wanted a Sherry Hill dress. Like she was so well known. And her stuff's cute. I looked into her bridal collection and I'm obsessed. Yeah. It's so good. So this is my first fashion show in New York. I've never been. I'm so excited. I haven't been either. All our New Yorkers, let us know what we should do while we're in town. Totally. Yeah. We have not been in New York City together. I was like, have we not? No, we haven't. No. That'll be so exciting. Yeah, we're excited to see the show. And, you guys know that we're both planning weddings. I'm a little further along than Jess. Mine is in July. I feel like I'm behind on so much, but I mean, at this point, it is what it is. I am in the process of creating invitations, and I just go online and start editing and trying to create them. And I get so overwhelmed, and I just close the window. I'm just like, I cannot do this.
What are you having trouble with, the vibe or
everything? I think that because I'm like 7 months into planning, I'm just kind of over planning. And, I feel like if I would have gotten engaged yesterday, I'd be like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. But now I'm just kind of jaded. And I just there's so many options. It's almost like when you go to like a TJ Maxx and you're just like, there's too much. Like, I'm just like overwhelmed. There's too much. Like I don't know what I like. I don't know what I want. And like for invites, you can get like the wedding suite, right? So you've got the invite, then you've got like the little RSVP card. And then I'm like, well, does anybody even RSVP? Like I feel like it's so inconvenient to make people go to the post office. So I'm like, I want to do mine virtually. And then there's like the menu. And then there's like accommodations. And like, so you could do a whole suite. And then
there's
obviously
so many things.
The price is like going like this.
Yeah.
And I'm just like this. I'm so overwhelmed. So today I drove to a stationery store. Probably like 25 minutes away from where I am. And I got there, I'm like, all right, I want someone to do it for me. Like somebody help me. Yeah. And this was a chain stationery store, but it wasn't Hallmark. But, I got there and they're like, we don't do this in person anymore. They're like, you got to go online. You got to create a Zoom appointment. Like get online. They don't have any appointments this week. And I'm just like, is it too late to cancel this wedding?
Stop.
So overwhelmed.
It is. I feel like it's a thing that people just get the invite and they don't think much about it, but you're just like, it has to be perfect and it has to be all these things. Like Paris Hilton had like a light up box with butterflies flying out and all this stuff. And her sister's like, what? Why does this even matter? You spent like $200 on an invitation. But here's my advice. Do as much as you can online, Ash.
Yeah.
Just put your little wedding website on the invitation, direct everyone there. People don't like a bunch of mail and they'll lose it.
Yeah, you're right.
I'm probably super techie perspective.
You're right. And you know what? I was thinking I'll just do the one invite, but then I was like, well, is that kind of like, I don't want to say cheap because none of this is cheap, but is it like not like, should I do the invite suite where you get like the whole thing? It's so cute and you open it and you're like, da 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 da. Or do you just do like, look, go to my website, RCP, let's call it a day.
I err on the side of save versus splurge with the wedding invite, although I got the cutest invite from Kenny and Alex. It had a little hand-painted portrait of their dog. For the RSVP. So you might have to splurge on that, actually, and take it back. Every time I try to save on something, I come up with a reason to actually splurge instead.
Oh my gosh, I can't wait to repeat all of this back to you.
I was trying to help you.
All of this back to you when you're in this phase. I'm like, you know what? Just write it down yourself and mail it.
I know. We really don't agree a lot on the whole wedding planning process.
I know. And like, I really want people to weigh in on this because I think we've kind of talked about this before, but I am not giving everyone a +1. You think that you have to. I certainly don't think that you have to. I have friends who I'm like, sorry, if you are dating someone I don't know, I'm not giving you a +1.
Yeah.
And you think that is tacky of me.
I mean, I've taken some randoms to weddings before that now I kind of feel bad. I'm like, my girlfriend from high school, she was like, remember when you brought so-and-so to my wedding? I was like, oh, did I? But I don't know. I think for me, I just want everyone to have the best time they can have.
Sure.
I'm also very against single shaming.
It's not shaming.
It's a little bit. It's a little bit. You just haven't been single very often in your life,
not shaming.
Okay?
And I'll tell you, I've had a couple +1s, and I've always brought my mom. Like, even if, like, I remember I was dating Gary once, and I got a +1. It was early on, and I brought my mom to this wedding in New Orleans.
That's the cutest thing ever.
And it's always a good time. I'm never going to be like, oh, why did I bring my mom
That's so
to
fun.
that?
Okay, so I think it depends on the situation.
Okay.
If you're having a wedding in Mexico, which, again, I brought a random to that, you're not going to go to Mexico by yourself unless there's a bunch of single friends going that are in the same group where they can cohabitate in the same room. That's one thing. So I think it depends on the situation. But I do like the idea of if I'm dating someone, I want to be able to bring them.
What if they're new? What if it's a new boyfriend?
Then that's even better. I get to like show him off. But one of my very best friends was getting married. And then one of our other best friends at the time was dating someone. I think it had been 6 months, and she was very serious about him, and she was so excited to bring him to this wedding. Well, lo and behold, he's not invited. And it was like friendship ruining situation.
Oh, wow.
She was never going to forgive this bride. It was wild. So
Does
I
she
guess
know how much
I
this
have that
costs?
experience. Well, that's the thing. I guess when you get into it, which I was talking to Ben last night,
what?
and I'm like, we're probably gonna eat our words later as we're actually, getting into
Tallying
the details
up
of this
your
thing.
list?
And you're like, oh, it's $400 per person.
Oh,
We're like,
girl.
and we only have 200 spots or something like that. So I totally get that it becomes more about brass tacks down the line. But yeah, I guess I experienced that, and I thought, oh, I'm just going to let everybody bring whoever they want.
Yeah, and I
It's
understand where you're
a fun
coming
date
from.
experience. It's a fun date experience, and I'm like,
So is
at
the
ours-
movies.
True.
Gary's like you
mean-
though. Gary is like adamant. Like anybody that's on his side gets a +1, and we've had this conversation. I've had this conversation with his mom. She's like, "What is he doing?" And it's just like he's just like you. He's like, they
are
get
the
a
same
+1.
person.
And I'm just like, okay, but we don't even really know this. We don't even know the person we're inviting that well, and then they get a +1. I'm like
Yeah.
not inviting people that I know well.
Since your wedding's in Atlanta, if they live in Atlanta, I think it's okay. Because they're like, okay, honey, I'm just going to pop over to this wedding and then we can like hang out later. But if it's, I have to pack my bags for the weekend and I have to trade off seeing you for going to this couple's wedding and you're not invited, it just makes you feel kind of crappy. I've also been in this situation where I was the +1 when he didn't get a +1. And I was like, oh, our relationship must not be at that point yet. And, go have fun. And I guess I'm, not one of your peeps.
Well,
So it feels pretty bad. I think if you have the opportunity to do it, do it. But if not, and you're squeezing for, a capacity, or you don't want to spend the extra money, then I totally respect that. But I like the spirit of fun. If people want to bring somebody, bring them.
or just don't go. There's that option too.
Or don't go. Yeah, if you don't, then you're not probably one of our close friends anyway. If you would choose to not go.
True. That's true. And I will say, like, really close friends, they get a +1 even if they're not. So I'm not like super, super strict on that. Like, so really close friends, okay, you can bring somebody, like, we're cool. But the debate will continue with all things wedding.
The debate continues. Yeah, talk to us in 6 months when we're closer. We might change our minds on that.
Oh my gosh, when I see this final bill, I'm like, you know what? We got to cut the list again. It's like 2 months out.
We started diving into wedding planning this weekend.
Yay! It's all fun
I knew you'd be
and
surprised by
games.
that. So we're between 2 destinations right now.
I know.
And I created a mood board last night for each one, and I showed it to Ben just to see if he would get perspective and like make up his mind. And it just made him more confused. So now we're just in our confusion again. So it hasn't gone very far.
What's the mood?
But that's our wedding update.
What are the moods?
I'm not going to release what the locations are, but one is more kind of muted and sweet. We would be able to have Pate in there.
Okay.
And it would be more neutral colored bridesmaids dresses and flowers. The other would be white with a pop of orange. It would be more exotic. And it would be outdoors versus like a garden.
Oh,
What's your feeling?
I love a good garden.
You love the garden. That's where I'm leaning. I'm leaning towards the garden. Okay.
I love a good garden.
That's all I need.
Even though
Moving
I know
on.
the locations. I'm down with either or.
Oh, you too. That's right.
All right. So next up, you wanted
know
to
too
talk
much.
about. I do. You wanted to talk about Elon Musk's new baby with his baby mama, Grimes.
This is why. I don't know who this woman is, by the way.
Oh.
But I could not get over the fact that it sounds like she was really unfiltered in her life before she started dating Elon.
You know they met on Twitter.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, they like
I had no
it's a
idea.
really unique story. You got to look it up. I don't want to.
Okay.
Like,
I'm
say
going
it
to check
wrong.
into this. My fiance is obsessed with Elon Musk, so I keep up on all things Elon. And it's just the funniest story because she had Vanity Fair at her house for an interview. The baby starts crying, and she starts getting visibly upset that this interviewer was going to find out that she had a baby there. So that's how the news broke that she had a baby. Was she actually invited them over for an interview while she had her baby upstairs?
What was the interview about?
I could not believe that. Huh?
If not, what was the interview about, if not the baby?
I think it was just about her life.
I don't know much about her.
They didn't know she had a baby until they were there, from my understanding. So then news breaks that she has a baby, and then the next day they came out and said they're not together anymore.
Yeah, they're not together, but they did just have a baby through a surrogate. And yeah, she's definitely an interesting character. I don't know much about her. I actually just started kind of looking into her, I think like last month or maybe 2 months ago, because she is like a singer apparently, and she has this music video, and I like K-pop. And Jenny from Blackpink was in the music video. So I was like, who is this girl? Like, what is she about? And that's when I kind of started looking into her. And I just think they're just an odd couple and super interesting, whatever works for you. Don't blame her for having a baby with Elon Musk. How much is he worth? Like, I too will have a baby with him. So
yeah, he's the richest man to ever exist.
And I'm sure Gary would be like, okay, good, that's fine. Gary really likes him too.
You'd be raising really that baby on the moon, probably.
Yeah, no kidding. So that's interesting. It's an interesting
phenomenon. And they named
phenomenon.
their baby Y. And speaking of Y, we actually we ordered a Tesla.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah, we ordered a Tesla, so we'll be getting it in 4 months. So I know Ben's so excited. He loves Tesla. He loves all things Elon. So
that's exciting.
Yeah. We're moving into the electric field.
With these gas prices.
Exactly.
Not a bad idea. Not a bad idea at all.
We have the same car. How much is it costing you to fill up your tank right now? Are you in the triple digits?
No.
Oh, really? Oh,
no.
I am. But I'm in California.
Oh yeah,
I've
for
been
sure.
In the triple digits.
No, I would say 80.
Okay. And you're putting in premium.
Yeah, I am. But I'm in Georgia.
Ashley,
I don't know. I mean, gas is
putting
high
in the
here.
right gas in your car.
I'm like half water, half unleaded. No, I think it's around $80. But you know, California, I saw something where they were like $7 an hour, $7 a gallon.
I think it's getting close to $6 out where we're at.
That's gross.
It's nuts. We go to Costco.
Just stay in the house.
I know.
At this point, is Costco even like cheaper?
A little bit.
A little bit?
Yeah.
Yeah. So also, you know, another reason to work from home because these gas prices is just crazy. Yeah. All right. Also, this is kind of like changing topics to something a little more somber, but in keeping with reality stars and mental health, which I know we want to advocate for from time to time. A Bachelorette villain actually just took his life. And you have kept up with this.
Yeah, it's interesting because this is one of the only seasons of The Bachelorette that I watched, and I love Caitlin Bristow. She's been such a great friend to me through this whole thing. And I remember this guy, and his tagline was "Villains Got a Vil." And it's just so interesting with all this news coming out now. He apparently had paranoia. I don't know if that was from the show, but I have to tell you, that's a word I use quite often when I'm talking about my mental health around the show. I know he was also having trouble with his girlfriend of the time. So there's that as well. But he lived, probably an hour from where I grew up. So it definitely hits close to home, and just interesting with all this whole shake thing that's going on. And kind of like I said earlier, people put up a shield, but you just don't know what's going on in someone's mind when they go through some of these experiences where the world piles on them, and the entertainment companies want that, but at what cost, And I don't know if that has anything to do with the reason that he took his life, and I don't want to presume anything,
Sure.
But that word paranoia
Struck you.
Really struck me, yeah.
Yeah. And it's just like another reminder, if not anything else, even for people who are not on reality shows, people are really going through stuff.
And it sounds like he was a well-respected teacher and great citizen of their little community. And this is so sad. Our thoughts and prayers are, with his family and friends, and with Caitlin. I know it's been tough for her.
Yeah. I mean, that's shocking. I think,
Got
it's
chills.
just, yeah, it's shocking and it's just so upsetting and people are hurting so badly. And I just think that's another reason why, you know, it's so cliche to be like, be kind to everybody. But it's like, just don't be mean. Like,
Yeah.
it's like, you don't even have to go out of your way to be kind. Just like, don't troll
Right.
people.
Right.
Like, is that so hard to ask? Just be cool. Don't be all uncool.
We're in the midst of a mental health crisis. It's affecting men more than women. And I think men feel like they have to put up this tough exterior.
Yeah.
So I'm always a bit more concerned.
I would never want to be a
About-
man.
No. And it's a tough time, you know? And you just never know if somebody's okay.
And you got to reach out for help if you need it. Got to reach out for help, get some help. There's so much help out there. And I'm so glad we're moving into a space where reaching out for help is becoming more, I don't want to say mainstream, but
acceptable. Yeah.
yeah, you know, especially for people of color, it's been kind of in our community. You used to not talk about mental health, you know, like my parents are from the islands and my mom would always be like, okay, drink some ginger, you'll feel better, you know? So it's always good to just ask for help and to reach out when you need it.
Yeah, it was interesting. I was listening to our podcast from last week. I find it very entertaining, but
do you like it?
Embarrassing. But when I was talking about when I was struggling and I didn't know how to get to tomorrow and that I had told a couple people in my life about that, I immediately said I felt terrible that I did that and was apologizing about it. And Ashley said, wait, that's exactly what you should have done. So normalizing that and not feeling guilt over it, over putting that on people in our lives, because the alternative is obviously
and people
devastating.
want to know your friends, your family, and if you feel like you can't talk to them, professionals, that's what they do and they're really good at it. We've both
a lot of
seen
companies,
therapists, so
absolutely, and a lot of companies are offering those services for free, so take advantage of all of that you can get.
Absolutely. Okay, we've got some voicemails, which is like our favorite part of the Unsettled podcast.
It's so
we love to
fun.
hear from you guys. We love
So
to hear from you
fun.
guys. Yeah. So this first one is from Sarah. I'm going to play it if my Wi-Fi lets me. All right, here we go.
Hi, Jessica and Ashley. I'm Sarah and I'm from the UK. I love your show so much. You two are just so amazing together and I really literally can't wait to tune in every week and listen. I have a question about you guys and your friendship group. What kind of friends are you two? Are you like the funny one, the one that people confide in, the organizer? Just curious, really. Not that we should label ourselves, but really intrigues me to know what kind of friends you are to each other. Because you're both so cute. Okay, love you. Thanks so much. Bye.
Can I please have that accent? That is the cutest thing.
I need her voice.
That is so cute. I think that you are, and I tell everyone, you are so loyal. You are a very loyal friend. And you're very sweet, which is kind of a cliche word too, but she's very sweet. Like you're always there for people, you know, like you're always there for people's big moments and you're like the biggest cheerleader. And so that's how I would describe you.
So that's so sweet. It's so interesting because you never talk about that stuff with each other, right?
No.
But Ashley to our group and to me is the most dependable person and accountable person. Not only will she show up to everything, but she will be there 20 minutes early, which gives me hyper anxiety. And then also, she's so laid back and chill, which for me is the best thing ever because I'm very often the opposite of that. So when the show came out, she was the first person I went to because she just made me feel normalized almost immediately. And she's the most fun.
Thank
Always.
you so much for calling, Sarah, with your cute accent.
You know what's interesting, though?
What?
I think I'm a different friend to different groups.
That's true.
Like my high school group, I'm such a goofball and a wild card.
Well, I would say you're a wild card with me, too.
Oh, okay. Okay, so that's just standard. Never mind.
The Love is Blind viewers are like, yeah, we would say wild card, too.
Like, oh, yeah, that's the thing. Okay, never mind.
And you are a goofball. You're so fun. This is from Noelle.
Noelle.
Hey, Jessica and Ashley. My name is Noelle. I'm calling in from Sweden. I just wanted to say to you, Jessica, that I've loved watching your journey. I think there's something so inspiring and brave in owning your quote unquote mistakes and, just rising above it and moving forward. And I think that's just like really great to see. So thank you for that. Something I would love to hear from you, Jessica, is more what you do for your job. It sounds like you work in tech and like you have a really successful career. So it would be really great to hear, kind of what you do for work and what you like about it, what you don't like about it. Maybe if you have some tips for people who are interested in a similar field. And I heard about your book club idea and would absolutely love that. It would be great to have just, a space to kind of jump off social media and do something different. So please do a book club. Okay, love it. Keep going, guys. Bye.
Thanks, Noelle.
Noelle, we love to hear it all the way from Sweden.
So cool.
Yeah, so my best advice is you can't start at the top, right? You got to start somewhere. So for me, I started out my career at a website, and it was a very humbling job. I felt like I just got this 4-year degree. Why am I doing this? Where I'm just like going through pages. People would call in, and I would go through the pages, figure out what their problem was, and then there was like a solution there. And I'm like, I'm not even using my brain. But I had to start doing things like that. Then I went to a telecom company, and it wasn't the easiest job. I was dialing for dollars. It felt really embarrassing. But after doing that for like 7 or 8 years, then I finally had all this experience under my belt, and the sky was really the limit. I could go work for these really cool transformational companies where, I've found myself now, and I love it so much. For anyone that's interested in tech, I would say, definitely go that route. The life is so great. The work-life balance. It's just a really cool place to be. It's very inclusive, especially at the company that I'm at. So I would just say, just know that it's not going to happen overnight. I had to work really, really hard to get to where I was. I recently had someone ask me, hey, what position do you have and how do I get that? And I was like, whew, where do I start? It was just a really long road for me to get to where I am now. But the market is so hot. I couldn't recommend, any industry more. And then also interesting that you mentioned the book club. I just finished Michael Dell's book, Play Nice But Win. If you want to get into the tech field, I highly recommend reading that book, and it's super inspirational. And even if you're an entrepreneur, highly recommend it.
What if you want to go the Elizabeth Holmes route?
Well, that's an option as well, but you might find yourself in the slammer.
Because I don't want. What if we don't want to work hard for 7 years cold calling?
Right? Yeah, I know. Cold calling's tough.
I mean, cold calling is basically like what reporters do just face to face too. When you need like comment on something, and then, I mean, like you probably got the phone hung up on you, and I'd get somebody like cussing me out. So I'm like, well, good day to you too. So yeah. We got another voicemail. This one is from Julia Zook. Thanks for calling in.
Hi, Julia.
Hi, my name is Julia. I was wondering, are the couples allowed to drop out of the experiment after the honeymoon at any time before wedding day, if they see that their connection is not working out? Or with the experiment and with the show, are you required to follow through all of those steps, walk down the aisle, even if, one or both members of the couple know that they're going to say no? I'm just curious, because that's a little unclear right now. Don't know if you're allowed to say, but I thought I'd ask.
Thank you for calling in, Julia. LIB question.
Thanks, Julia. As much as I want to answer this question honestly, there's only so much I can say. But I think
I think you're on to something.
Those who have followed my journey can probably guess what that situation was. But what I can say is the spirit of the show is that you're in an experiment. So if you find yourself in a place where you're really not feeling your partner, you want to really allow yourself to see if feelings can grow. So at some point when I wasn't feeling the person that I was matched with, I thought, I'm going to stay and see if this experiment works. That's really supposed to be what it's about. You have your connection in the pods, then you go into real life to see, you know, if love can grow and if you want to marry that person in 47 days?
That's a good answer. Great question. And it is unclear, right? Because I think a lot of people are just like, so why? It's just weird. It kind of leaves the viewers being like, so why are they engaged if they don't like each other? Like, you know, so.
Right, exactly. I think you can find yourself in that situation in real life. Like I've been there when I was with someone and I'm like, oh, wait, I'm not feeling this anymore because something happened. But I allow myself to still stay in the relationship to see if feelings will grow again. So I feel like it's something that can happen in real life as well.
Absolutely. And
has anyone experienced this? I want to know. Has anyone out there experienced this where you weren't really into someone and then it grew into more? Because I've never had success with that, either in real life or on Love is Blind. But
well, you know what's so interesting is like love. The arranged marriages like still exist. You know what I mean? And I actually knew a couple. We were growing up in Michigan. It was our neighbors, and it was an arranged marriage. And, you know, they had a whole family and everything. And it's just like, that's so, I really don't know how common it is around the world, but I know it's still a thing. And so I think for some of those couples, like feelings grow, but sometimes it doesn't happen.
Yeah. It's so interesting to me. Mm-hmm. But I think that's part of your history and part of your traditions, and that's what's expected. So you step into that. Mm-hmm. What if you had another option?
Right. I don't know. Right.
That's a tough one.
And I know we got a couple DMs. Thank you so much. Obviously, still keeping people of Ukraine in our prayers. And we got a DM on, was it charities that we could help or reach out to?
Charities and foundations. So we're going to share that out on our page, just so everyone has access to be able to help in any way that you can.
Yeah.
Whatever feels good to you. We had someone reach out. We wanted to talk. We got a DM and situation that was shared with us about trading off your career for love. So in this situation, this guy has really built up this entire company, if you will. And now he's met his girlfriend. They've been together for 1.5 years, and she wants him to take a break from that and go travel the world for a year. And he's just wondering to himself, is this trade-off worth it? Am I sacrificing my career, my dreams, future financial stability? Or do I go with love and take the chance? For me, 100 times out of 100, I follow my financial dreams. And
you were going to say, you're like, I follow my heart.
No. He's built this from the ground up. And it's been over many, many years. Yeah. And he's now at a place where he's getting momentum and he's starting to realize that dream. And to me, that's not cool that she's asking him to go with her. I don't know. What's your feeling?
I don't know. I'm thinking of this, like sitting here and I'm just like, I don't know, because I feel like I'm not a wanderlust, right? Like I'm not traveling the world like that without a job.
Same.
Like I love people who do that. I think that's so cool. And maybe if I did do that, I'd see more of the world. But on the flip side, it's like work is always going to be there. Like there's always work. So I don't know. I don't really have an answer to this. I'm trying to like put it in like a perspective that maybe like would apply to me. But I don't think I would ask that. Like in television,
that's a lot to ask.
You move around in local news. You kind of climb till you get to these bigger markets. And, you know, there's so many long distance marriages and relationships in TV because, you know, reporters and anchors want to keep climbing the ladder to get to these bigger markets. And I've always said, like, I would never ask Gary to, like, pick up and move to a different state just because, like, I was chasing like this dream. And I think he would understand, like he would just stay put and would be supportive from afar. But I think that's kind of the best way I can relate it to myself. But then again, if I was, you know, like let's say Gary was building something from the ground up and it was so important to him, I don't think I would leave. This is tricky.
Right. It is tricky. Absolutely. It's a hard one. So if Diane Sawyer... Sorry, I have to ask this question. If Diane Sawyer wanted to have a show with Ashley Thompson.
Yeah,
Not a
I'm gone.
wanderlust.
Yeah,
Not a
I'm
wanderlust.
gone.
You're there. You're
Yeah.
there. That's the thing. So it's what is the dream? And is it worth it to you? I think that's the
I'm
answer.
gone, but I'm not like, Gary, let's sell the house and come with me. I'm like, he'll stay in
okay.
Atlanta and he'll do, because he's got his roots here too. And like,
Okay.
I think it'd be up to him if he wanted to come. But I'm just very independent too. But, you know, like I wouldn't ask him to do that. I want to hear from people on this one. This
I
is
do
a hard one.
too. This is tough. This is tough. I think it applies to a lot of people too. Even with myself and Ben, he has his practice here outside of LA, but we're looking at other locations.
Yeah.
This is also the difference between going into work and being able to work from home. I could work from anywhere.
Right.
Yeah, sound off. Let us know what your feelings
That's a
are
good
on this
question.
topic.
That's a really good question. I'm going to really chew on that one. And thank you so much, guys. We really need some
Thanks,
more reviews on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. We love all of you who have left reviews. We're doing this so organically right now, so we need a bunch of reviews and a bunch of love, and we thank you so much for listening.
Thanks, guys. See you next week. Peace.